Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome to a special Tuesday night edition of Real Talk brought to you by Jersey First TV. And yes, I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, top 100 Latino for 3 consecutive years via the Latino Spirit online magazine, and certainly the weapon of mass disruption, because this level of honesty is necessary in this era of deception. That's right, folks. It's me, Fernando Uribe. Once again, Happy New Year. Happy 2024. I appreciate, certainly very, very thankful for all of you tuning in here from wherever and however you may be doing so on this, the 2nd of January in 2024. A lot to talk about in this very political year, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you sticking with Jersey First TV as we'll continue to, be engaging, entertaining, and educational throughout this very, very volatile political year. And we'll be talking to all the news headliners, news breakers, everybody, elected officials, candidates, you name it, journalists. We'll be talking to everybody, as this will probably be one of the most interesting political years in recent memory. And folks, again, always remember, check us out on all of our great social media. And of course, it's always available on, of course, Facebook. And ladies and gentlemen, I cannot say enough about all the support we get on our Facebook. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and certainly wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's Spotify or SoundCloud. Download Jersey First and take it with you, whether you're moving your kids back to campus in a couple of weeks, whether you're just doing errands. Hey, maybe you're cashing in all those gift cards you got during Christmas. Hey, take Jersey First TV with you. And of course, also for your YouTube subscribers, click the subscribe button and you'll be automatically notified of all the outstanding content brought to you by Jersey First TV. Of course, what I think is the leader in reputable news here in the Garden State. It's always Jersey First TV. And folks, I cannot say enough about how proud I am, how privileged I am to be on the dream team of Garden State journalism. That's right, folks. It's always Jersey First TV. Brand new episodes of the Nader Narrative hosted by the amazing Elizabeth Nader, premiere every Thursday. And of course, brand new episodes of Bridging the Gap with AJ Malillo and Stephen Rambola also premiere on Thursdays. And of course, going back to next week, every Monday night, you can always rely on brand new episodes of Real Talk with Fernando Uribe right here on Jersey First TV. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't say enough what a wonderful year it was in 2023. 204,235 views for all of the episodes, all organic, folks, nothing boosted. I'm not vaccinated, and believe me, the last thing I'll ever think about or even advocate for is boosting anything. So I cannot say enough how proud I am and how thankful I am to all of you who tune in every single week, whether it's family, friends, colleagues, even the haters. Again, you make that number possible. So let's keep it going here in 2024. Folks, you didn't want to stick around for final thoughts because I have a lot to say about the recent Save Jersey top women to watch in the state of New Jersey. Of course, 4 of my favorite ladies from Jersey First TV are there. Obviously, Marcella Crossman, Rosemary Becky, Ashley Smith, and of course, Elizabeth Nader. More on them later. Just amazing women in politics in New Jersey. I'll talk about them during final thoughts. And of course, unfortunately, just like there are amazing women, there's plenty of toxic women in New Jersey politics. I'll talk about them too. So you definitely want to stick around for final thoughts. And folks, one of the things that I take pride on with this program, as I say it all the time, right, is the idea that, hey, I'm New Jersey's premier journalist, but I would never even dare call myself New Jersey's best journalist. That title, without a doubt, belongs to my guest tonight, my good friend, and he is the editor of the New Jersey Globe. Big fan of the show, thankfully, David Wildstein. David, how are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Fernando. Good to see you. And thanks for everything that you've did in 2023. We both, for various reasons, take some abuse, for doing what we do. And it's important that there be an independent media out there that are raising questions, and whether people like it or not, you do it every week, and the state is far better for having you around. So thanks.
David, you're really kind. God bless you, bro. I mean, that's very kind of you. I appreciate it. And folks, again, sharing is caring. Click the share button there. As David Wildstein, the editor of the New Jersey Globe, joins us here on Real Talk. David, obviously, a lot of news to talk about. Just breaking this afternoon. I know you were one of the first outlets to break it. Senior United States Senator Bob Menendez is in trouble again.
Yeah.
Indictment is down the pike here. What can you share with our audience tonight about the latest in this ongoing saga for New Jersey's senior United States Senator?
It's sad whether whether you like Bob Menendez or you don't, or whether you agree with his positions or you don't. It's sad for New Jersey when you see this national platform of on a national stage of him looking so badly. And this latest allegation is that he took gifts from the government of Qatar in exchange for work that he's done in the United States Senate. And look, the word allegation is hugely important. We are seeing the Justice Department side. We haven't seen or heard Senator Menendez's defense yet, and he is he's entitled to that presumption of innocence, except that things just don't look good, and it's you and I've talked about this before. I don't know about his path to staying in office. I think he's going to have to go through this, and these allegations, today again, they're again, whether you like them or not, they're troubling. They're just really troubling.
David, you mentioned, I know, obviously, and we'll get to your outstanding year in review that you did with the New Jersey Globe. Of course, shout out to the great staff at the New Jersey Globe for that wonderful document over the holiday season.
Thank you.
You talked about the senator not having a path, and it kind of makes me wonder. Certainly, I think a judge recently, denied any sort of delay in the trial, which I think is scheduled to start in May, basically a month right before the primary. So I don't know what he's going to be doing for the next few months. Obviously, his lawyers have to go through, correct me if I'm wrong, are we talking about millions of pages of discovery, right?
15 million pages.
I can't imagine. That sounds like most of my papers in grad school, but that's another topic. But it's interesting because I just almost get this sense, again, being Cuban though, David, he's not stepping down. He's not going to acquiesce to the governor, allow the governor to appoint somebody, which most likely would be his wife or anybody else. It seems like he's going to ride this through. Is there any chance, David, from what you're hearing, that he might just say, you know what, obviously I'm not going to get the county line. Maybe I'll just run as an independent. And, most likely, again, Republicans probably aren't going to run anybody, of note there. I mean, I hate to sound cynical, but it just seems like the race is really between Andy Kim and Tammy Murphy right now. Are you hearing anything? Maybe Bob just thinks, well, you know what, whoever the candidate is for the Democrats, Republicans probably not going to put up any real good fight. Maybe I can sneak in there as an independent, and I'm not going to need 50+1 to win this. I could just win with it being a 3-person race. Are you hearing that?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to, first of all, agree with you completely. I've known this guy for 35 years. He's not a quitter, and I don't see I don't see him just walking away. I don't see him winning a Democratic primary. The polling, the polling numbers, we've seen enough polls to show that his approvals among Democrats are just not there. And I mean, he's at 8% statewide. I mean, and I've been pointing out to people that's less popular than Chris Christie. Can you imagine being less popular than Chris Christie? He's still, by the way, in my view, Bob Menendez is a far better human being than Chris Christie is, but that's just a personal view. But
I'm with you.
But as the, as you have to be realistic in campaigns. I think Menendez has always been pragmatic. So to go with what you said, he could play sort of an unorthodox move. And look, this is fantasy land stuff. It's not like I'm sourcing anybody. It's not like Menendez has told me, here's what my plan is. But I could see a scenario by which he runs as an independent. I don't think he can win as an independent. I don't think there's any chance of that. But he could change the playing field. And if Bob Menendez takes his $8.5 million and goes to what should be his base, which is the Hispanic voters of New Jersey and says, they're just coming at me because of the color of my skin. They're coming at me to take me down because I'm Hispanic, and I'm going to stand up and fight for what I believe in, fight for my innocence. And he's got $8.5 million in the bank. Could he do enough? Can he get enough support on that message that all of a sudden in a three-way race, suddenly you're looking at Republicans being competitive in a U.S. Senate race, and suddenly that it's not that he can win, but that he could prevent the Democrats from winning. And then all of a sudden, you've got Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden and others saying, wait a minute, we better give this guy a better deal in order to get him out, because he could really hurt us and stop us from holding control of the U.S. Senate. That, strategically, that might be a good play for him. But I'll admit, when I say things like that, I sort of got my tinfoil hat on. In reality, you've got a guy who's dealing with serious issues of whether he's going to keep his freedom or not. And at the end of the day, once this trial starts, he's going to care less about politics and gamesmanship and more about protecting his ability to remain free. He's not going to be a United States senator a year from, I guess today, it'll be a year from tomorrow that the new Senate takes office. Yeah. He's not going to be part of that new Senate. And he's got to think about what life is going to be like for him. He turned 70 yesterday. Okay. And you got to see what life is going to be like for him in a post-Senate world. He's been in politics for 50 years. Started out as a teenage aide to Billy Musto in something that some people say is the greatest town in New Jersey. I think it's the second greatest beyond Livingston, but Union City. Union City has produced a lot of fine people, and Menendez has to figure out where that life is going to take him going forward. He's going to have to earn a living. He's not a guy of tremendous means, and I think he's going to. I think there's going to be a point where suddenly pragmatic Bob reemerges, and I don't think you'll see him on the ballot.
Dave, just some hypothesis on my end right here, real quick here. Any chance that in case Tammy Murphy is the candidate that wins the primary, do you think there'll be enough backlash where Bob might just say, you know what? I think a lot of people don't like this look of this oligarchy or this monarchy here in New Jersey with the Murphys. And maybe that's just enough for him to sneak in as an independent and win back that seat. Because, David, I have to tell you, and, I think I said this to you on the last episode you were on, and a few other people I've talked to. I mean, didn't we fight a war to free ourselves from a monarchy some 200-something years ago, from the monarchy of King George? And now it seems like we're living under a monarchy in New Jersey with the Murphys. And it seems like there isn't more outrage with the establishment media here in New Jersey, though, David. And again, that concerns me. But do you see a scenario where Bob might see the writing on the wall and be like, you know what, Tammy's not popular, and maybe I can sneak in here with just enough as a third party? Or am I maybe just being, I don't know, just hypothesizing?
I think you're being yourself, and that's coming at it from a point of view that you're supposed to have. But I personally, I don't this monarchy thing. I don't know. There's legislators and judges and other branches and checks and balances. Tammy Murphy is for the Democrats a good candidate. She is smart. She is dogged on behalf of those issues that she cares about. I'm not ready to dismiss her. Ready to play tough in a tough game. So I think you've got two very good candidates there. In terms of an independent run, Republicans are going to get 30, at the low end, 36% of the vote, no matter who they run or what they do. And it was whether it was Bob Hugin spending $40 million 6 years ago, or Jeff Bell spending practically nothing against Cory Booker in 2014. They will wind up around that same. That Republican base is about 30. I said 36, and I am way off. It's really about 44%.
Okay.
I was giving you bad numbers, and I apologize. So when you look at, if the Republicans are going to be, even if they stick it where they are at 44%, then the Democrats are at 56. And so in order to win a race against the Republican 44, you've got to get 44% plus one, call it 45% of that remaining 56. That's tough for somebody to do as an independent. It's virtually impossible. He's got $8.5 million in the bank, but I'll tell you, Fernando, my guess is he's done raising money. This is, people are not going to give to him anymore.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, especially with the new allegations. I'm not sure if you've seen it in the last few weeks, and sometimes a broken clock is right twice a day. And Uncle Dave had a pretty decent interview with someone like Julie Kozinski and even Katie Brennan in recent weeks, talking about whether or not Tammy Murphy is really a good candidate for women, and whether or not this is someone that women should support in New Jersey. And Tom Moran, and irrespective of what I think about Tommy Boy and Uncle Dave, I mean they've been raising some questions about Tammy Murphy's not necessarily legitimacy, but whether or not she really is an advocate for women, and whether or not that could hurt her and her candidacy right now in this primary against Andy Kim. I mean, again, we have some very highly visible, outspoken women. Julie Rodzinski, operative, someone who worked in the Murphy campaign. Katie Brennan, also who worked in the Murphy campaign. We all know the history. We all know the baggage that's come. And, of course, NDAs play a big part in really knowing the story. But do you think that's something that could come back and haunt the First Lady, especially with high visible women like this being so loud and emphatic about, hey, I don't trust Tammy Murphy, and a lot of other women shouldn't either? Do you think that message could come back to haunt her?
I don't. I really don't. And I think when you look at Tom Moran and some others, you have to sort of peel the onion and look at an ulterior motive and agenda and everything. It's not credible. You might look at Tammy Murphy and say, she's not good on this issue or this issue or this issue, but to call her bad for women, I mean, I don't pay any attention to that. She has, she's done some good things, even with bipartisan support. Republican legislators have voted, conservative and moderate Republicans have voted for her maternal health initiatives and in improving the chances of newborn survival and reducing the mortality rate among young mothers of color. It's this is not a credible position for to hit her on. And she's Tammy Murphy still. I mean, I don't know that your audience may not like hearing me say it, but I say the same thing whether I'm on with you or whether I'm on with somebody on the left. She's a mother of four and a businesswoman and a philanthropist and a smart person. And I've seen this over my last 50 years. I've seen lots of people get tripped up by going in a direction that just isn't going to fly. You're not going to convince women that Tammy Murphy's bad for women. It's just, I don't think it's true.
Fair enough. David, if you're just joining us right now, it's 7:19 here on the East Coast. Our guest tonight, the distinguished editor of the New Jersey Globe, David Wildstein, joins us here on the first edition of 2024 here on Jersey First TV of Real Talk with Fernando Uribe. David, getting back to the year in review that you and the great staff of the New Jersey Globe produced over the holidays, just a couple of highlights that caught my attention here. Without a doubt, Politician of the Year, Vin Gopal. I know we talked about it when you were on last year with me. I mean, you want to talk about a guy that looked dead in the water, according to a lot of prognosticators. A lot of people thought, hey, the tides are shifting maybe in that county, in that district. But let me tell you, Vin Gopal rolled up his sleeves, got to work, and used the mechanisms at his disposal. And he just didn't win. He won by a few touchdowns, to say the least.
He did. He won by over 20 points, and it was a phenomenal landslide. But in a district where I think he could have just as easily been beaten. And I think what you're seeing here is this is a place where you had two things going. You had Gopal, who's doing really well, who's doing practically everything right, and at the same time you've got Republicans that seem to have been doing everything wrong. And when you're in one of these races where you're there fighting for your life and you're not making mistakes and you're doing everything you have to do, you're raising money, you're displaying some independence, and the reality, whether people like hearing it or not, is Vin Gopal knew his district and was not afraid to stand up to Phil Murphy and to publicly distance himself from a governor when he thought the governor was wrong. And Phil Murphy deserves some props here for not taking it personally, for understanding the reality of, hey, Gopal's in a tough district, and he's going to do what he needs to do to win. At the same time, Republicans didn't do well in candidate recruitment.
No,
and they didn't. Steve Denistream was a nice guy, but he hadn't done this before, and it doesn't mean that you have to have run for office before to win a state Senate seat. But he'd never really been involved in a campaign before. He'd only watched them on television, and he wasn't prepared for it, and made some bad decisions. And it's a shame. Look, I wish that you could win public office without having to raise huge amounts of money. But we live in real worlds these days, all of us, and even at a time where Tom Moran is working on a personal agenda, every time he runs a story that's got his personal agenda, that's one less piece of journalism that the Star Ledger could produce to tell the people in the 11th district the facts about issues that they're going to be voting on and how people voted and what people believe in. So you've got I think Gopal was the winner of the year because for a while he looked like he could be dead on the side of the road, and he ran a great campaign, and the Republicans basically screwed up just about everything in that race, and Gopal won in a landslide in a district that should not be a landslide district.
Davey, you're being generous calling what Tom Moran does for a living journalist. We're being very generous there. Is that like a New Year's resolution to be a little kinder? Is that
no? Tom he's a journalist.
Yes,
he's just not a good one.
Yes, that's right.
But he is a journalist, and I'll tell you what drives me. I can, don't let me, because I can go the rest of your show just railing on some of these old legacy media types who don't know that anything's wrong. But one of my problems with Tom Moran, I would argue that it's a problem that people on the right and on the far left should have with him, is that he doesn't know how to read a constitution. And what I mean by that is and I keep one on my desk, and I'm sure if I challenged you, Fernando, you could put your hands on a copy of the Constitution in a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
We've all read it, and I, just in an abundance of caution, when I listen to Tom Moran or David Cruz or Mike Kelly or other blowhard, jerks, I go to that Constitution and I look at the Bill of Rights and I look at the First Amendment, and I keep looking for that place where it says Tom Moran gets to decide who a journalist is.
Yeah. Yeah.
People who watch your show get to decide. People who read my site get to decide. Tom Moran doesn't get to decide who a journalist is, and that sort of drives me a little nuts.
Amen to that, brother. And I think you said it perfectly. David, a couple of things here. Also, winners of the year, runner-ups that you had. And I'm a little biased here. I saw it. I was like, listen, I'm a Hudson County guy. I'm a Brian Stack guy. No surprise there for my mayor and state senator, who I would argue has the best ground game in New Jersey. Never mind Hudson County. Has the best way to mobilize the vote, to get out the vote mechanism. Nobody does it better than Brian Stack, a fellow member of Cowboy Nation, by the way. So shout out to Brian on that one. But certainly the new state senator, Raj Mukherjee, and the new county executive, Craig Guy, I think all had great years. Certainly with redistricting, we saw Raj Mukherjee move up from the assembly into the state senate. And a guy who was always in the background a little bit was sort of like that good soldier for Tom DeGeese for so many years. Craig Guy has very amply, excuse the pun, he's become that guy to step up to the plate and really become very smooth, to be a deal broker in the county. And again, you look at those three, and hard to argue that they also had great years.
Look, Craig Guy is hugely respected among insiders. He knows how to run a government. Whether you agree or disagree with people on the issues, these are some good people. They're decent, honorable human beings, and you and I, we talk about this a lot. Really, our best hope is that both parties put up good people, and then and even if they disagree on issues, let them go out there and talk about the issues. Let them present what they believe in, and let the voters decide. But at least give them good choices. And I think, I think I don't think there's anybody who cares more about their constituents and who they represent than Brian Stack. This is a guy who sent out bracelets with his cell phone number to every person in the district, saying, if you need me, call me, and I'll be there to help you. Mukherjee is, and I'm not saying that I agree with every vote that he's made in the legislature.
Same here. Yeah.
But a good, honorable person. I'll tell you, I don't know. I've never told this story publicly. But if you permit me,
sure.
So no secret that in 2000, January, it was February 1st of 2000, nearly 24 years ago, I started a website called Politics NJ, and I had this idea that was a little different, which is maybe people will get their news on the internet. Morons like Mike Kelly, opined that the internet was a fad, that people will always get their news from newspapers. But I think he's been proven wrong. But I did it anonymously. I used that moniker of Wally Edge. And for 10 years, nobody knew who was behind the site. It was, a very closely guarded secret. So I'm about 2 months into this site doing it anonymously, and my phone rings at home back when we had landlines, and it is a kid asking for Wally Edge, and I'm thinking, oh crap! I'll try and keep my language, even though we're virtual. I'll try and make I'll have respect for real talk with Fernando Uribe and not curse or anything. But believe me, crap is not the word that I used. And immediately I said, well, you got the wrong number, and the person insisted and said, well, in the case that I don't have the wrong number, could I give my name and number? And it was Raj Mukherjee.
Wow.
And he was 15 years old, and he figured out a mistake I made that revealed my identity. And at this point I'm figuring, all right, what am I going to do? He's caught me. I better, figure out what it is he wants to say. Raj Mukherjee kept that secret for the entirety of my time being anonymous. From the time 15 years old, working in politics, working for people's campaigns, being a lobbyist, he never, ever, ever gave up that secret, because he gave my word. He gave me his word. He said, I'll never tell people what it is. And he said, by the way, I'm a computer whiz, which he was, and I'll explain to you how to close up these holes so nobody else can do it. But Raj Mukherjee kept his word. And that's, I can't be any more impressed with a human being than those who keep their word, and when they give their honor and they pledge their confidentiality, that they keep it. And sometimes he'll vote in ways in the legislature, and I'll think, oh my God, Raj, what are you doing? But I will never ever think anything other than this guy has as stand-up a character as a human being as I've ever seen.
That's an amazing story. I think next time I see the state senator, maybe I'll have to, I'm like, hey, listen, I'm not sure if you caught this episode of Real Talk, but check out what Mr. Wildstein had to say. I think, I'm sure we'll have a good cocktail over that for sure. David, also obviously on the list as well. Interesting here when you wrote Consultant of the Year, Harrison Neely, a guy who I know, very, very hard worker, did some, obviously a stunning upset, as you wrote, in Westfield. Certain municipalities. Again, Republicans didn't have a great November 2023 legislatively, but a lot of like school board races, things that matter to me, for example, went conservatives' way. And some Republicans flipped some municipalities that had always been traditionally blue, as Windex, for example. And, shout out to Harrison Neely. I think he's got his work cut out for him coming up this year. I mean, obviously, helping Bridgewater Mayor, as you mentioned, Matt Mensch, also helping Doug Steinhardt, in the 23rd legislative district. I just get this sense, though, David, that someone like a Sue Altman, I think Jason Plakakis, my apologies if I mispronounced the name. I think those are the two declared Democrats in the 7th congressional district.
Yeah, and Greg Vartan from Summit, so 3.
That's right. Excuse me. Yes, thank you. And I just think Harrison's got a big amount of work on his hands, because something about Tom Kean, the name has a legacy, but not sure exactly if the freshman representative in the House is going to cruise to re-election. I don't know. And I think Harrison is going to have to work especially hard this year to help Tom Kean get reelected. How do you see that race early on right
now? Early on is exactly what it is. It's early on. And congressional races are very much nationalized. We don't know what the world and the country and the Congress and the political environment is going to look like when people start voting in September. We've got to, one of my New Year's resolution is I got to figure out what I'm going to do about stop calling it election day, because we don't really have election days anymore.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
We start voting in September, and it just keeps going, and then it stops on that first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. That's the last day of the election, unless you put your ballot in the mail that morning and the post office delivers it late. So we don't even know what the start and end dates really are anymore. That's a great race. That'll be one of the most closely watched races in the country. I think if it turns out to be Tom Kean and Sue Altman, that's just, for those of us who like a good bowl of popcorn and want to watch a really good race, that one is it, because, they're both, again, good people, good. I think they're going to be good candidates. Kean doesn't get the credit that I think he deserves for having won a tough election, nearly won one 2 years before that, serving in the state legislature for a long time. It's so easy to dismiss him as the son of Governor Tom Kean. I've known Governor Kean since I'm like 11 years old, and I lived across the street from the Keans in Livingston. But Governor Kean hasn't run for office since 1985. Yeah, it's a long time ago. The Kean family is is sort of a brand. But it's not fair to ignore everything that Tom Kean Jr. has done in his own life in 20 plus years in the state legislature, and now after 1 year in Congress, he is. I mean, Harrison may be watching, and I hope he is. He's smart, so I think he is. He's going to hate that I'm going to give this away, I think, but Tom Kean Jr. is one of the most disciplined candidates I have ever seen.
Yeah, that's
in a long time in politics. And when you're disciplined, that is good. From the same standpoint, Sue Altman is probably among the most passionate candidates that I've seen, in terms of what she believes in. And, and look, people are going to say Sue Altman, she's far left. I'll tell you, Fernando, I think Republicans are going to spend millions and millions of dollars calling whoever the nominee is far left. So whether they really, whether she comes out of working families or whether she came out of a more conservative Democratic background, it doesn't matter. They're going to call her far left to begin with, but she is a worker, and she is dogged, and she is persistent, and it's hard to get Sue these days, on the phone to talk about the campaign, because she is dedicated to her call time, and she's raising money, and she's the front runner. I don't know for sure that it's going to be her, but she's the front runner, and this is just going to be a great race to watch. About two people who believe in different things.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And again, for a district that leans a little Republican, not heavily, it's not like Tom Kean's running, in the district Chris Smith is in.
Right.
It's going to
be a district that Joe Biden carried.
Yes.
So we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And again, and I like Sue Altman personally. I've interacted with her on numerous occasions. Very, very nice woman. Whether or not some of her social media content comes back to bite her in the sense of positions she's taken, we'll find out. And we'll see during that primary for sure. Also, David.
Can I give one more news resolution?
Yes.
I'd like to see Sue Altman come on Real Talk with Fernando Uribe.
David,
I'd like to see that. I think it'd be great for democracy.
No, I've interviewed her before, but for whatever reason, her camp is just very opposed. And I'm a gentleman. I send out dates. I mean, I have January, February, March already booked. I mean, I'm looking at April, for example, right now, and it just seems like, listen, I want to talk to everybody. As you know, I'll talk to people left, right, middle. I don't care. I feel comfortable talking to anybody. I'm a good interviewer, I feel, and I think I can have a dialogue. And for someone like Sue, I mean, she's going to have to answer some tough questions along the way eventually. Now, again, whether or not she'll debate Tom or Tom wants to debate her, who will host those debates, I'm not sure. I know you have the inside track on that because you always get the scoops and you're always able to get those debates that none of us can ever secure. But it'll be interesting. I think you're absolutely correct. I think that race in CD7 is super interesting. We have a lot of months until we start seeing sort of the climate politically about where the national ticket is at and what the national candidates are going to be espousing, right? At the top of the ticket for president, working its way down. We're going to see exactly, whether or not, for example, Leroy Jones the state Democratic chair, has yet to endorse anybody, which is, it's still early. I get it.
Well, actually, he endorsed Tammy Murphy.
He did. And it's interesting that in that race, he did that. Some of these congressional races still remain to be seen. Yeah. Again, it's only January.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
He won't. I don't think he'll take sides in the congressional primary. I think he's Leroy Jones is a pretty good local politician. He's a county chairman first and a state chairman second. He may even be he's still the municipal chairman of East Orange. He may be municipal chair first, county chair second, state chair third. He has a lot of respect for other county chairmen. Probably doesn't like it when others come into his county and tell them what to do. I think he won't do that to them.
No, fair enough. One last note here. Again, folks, if you haven't checked it out, NewJerseyGlobe.com, the year review, amazing PDF there. You talked about the retirement of a journalism giant in Brian Thompson. I got to tell you, you hit the nail on this one once again. I've been watching Brian Thompson for a long, long time. I live up here in Hudson County, watching NBC since I was a child, basically, whether it's the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade, whether it's watching the Jersey sports final
Yeah.
on Sunday nights after NFL season. But NBC TV in New York, and NBC4, really, to your testament, I mean, they're losing an icon in journalism in Brian Thompson with his retirement. Spot on with that reporting.
Thank you. Thank you. He's a class act. He just is. He's a class act.
He really is. And I think that, especially in an area where we are so desperately in need of good sort of investigative journalists and a guy that has great contacts, a guy that has been able to break stories, a guy who's rolled up his sleeves. I think it's a very big void in tri-state media, David, with his departure.
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting. You look at NBC channel. To me, because I'm a North Jersey guy, I was always Channel 4. I don't know what their affiliate in South Jersey is, but Brian was fair. He was respected by both sides. He had contacts on both sides. You don't really know where he was in terms of his own thinking on issues, which is where a good television journalist should be. The other thing that I pointed out in the year in review is my reporter of the year was not a New Jerseyan, but a New Yorker. Jonathan Dienst really did a great job breaking all these aspects of the Menendez story. And he's old school journalist. And, I wish we had more of the old school people who were able to peel back onions and do it in a way where they had credibility, that it wasn't a personal agenda, just by going out and doing the work and pounding the pavements the way they used to. Jonathan also deserves a lot of respect from New Jerseyans for the work that he does.
Absolutely. Again, folks, check out NewJerseyGlobe.com for that year in review. David, we started the show with sort of the headlines of the day to start off the new year. Another big headline today. It seems like Edison Mayor Sam Joshi is catching some fire today for some comments that he made about a bus of, migrants, illegals, whatever you want to call them, being transported along the way to Edison. And, I got a few, I literally got 9 text messages today asking, hey, did you get hired by the city of Edison? Because it seems like whatever Mayor Joshi said, it's like word for word what we hear Fernando Uribe say on Real Talk. And I'm like, no, I'm not under employment with the city of Edison. But in the last 72 hours, though, David, between up here in Hudson County, nearby suburb, Secaucus, with Mayor Mike Cannelli, big fan of his. I know he's a fan of the show. I know he watches. Seems like these two mayors have been under the microscope about what's going on. And again, this ongoing issue about the border, you're seeing a massive migration. It's crazy, though, David, because, again, being the son of immigrants myself, first-generation American, this could be an issue that could backfire for Democrats, because it's funny, whether, the emperor himself calls New Jersey a sanctuary state. He wants to make New Jersey, California of the East Coast, God help us. But nearby towns like Hoboken with Ravi Bala and Stephen Fulop in Jersey City, who coincidentally, folks, he'll be on in 2 weeks on the show with me, Stephen Fulop will be. It seems like they're very eager to be sanctuary cities, but when push comes to shove, though, David, it seems like these policies are backfiring in these people's backyards, where many on the left are like, oh yes, let's do that, but I don't know, I'm not sure if I want people here. This looks like this could be catastrophic in terms of a political platform.
I don't know if you believe that he's taking that old Tip O'Neill adage of all politics is local. Maybe he's got a good feeling for what his own constituents in Edison want. He's now halfway through a 4-year term, and I don't think this week. I think this week's news is this week's news. Politically, I don't think it's going to hurt him in Edison. And you think about it, Fernando. What are they going to do to him as long as he maintains the Democratic Party support? And they bucked a municipal chair there who wanted to run for mayor, who who allegedly, I'm being told all the time, I have to say allegedly so that I keep myself out of trouble. So he allegedly was part of this group that passed around a racist flyer 6 years ago. Democrats went with Joshi, and I think they like him there. I think he's popular in that town, and things like this today, his statements, if nothing else, it's probably going to pull more non-traditional Democrats his way. So politically, it might turn out to be good, but bottom line is 2 years is a long time, and I don't think anybody's going to remember this. I don't think this one has longevity.
No, I agree with you. And again, social media has exploded today. A lot of the very left-wing organizations here in New Jersey that coddle illegals are up in arms about his comments and sort of calling him out on like, hey, listen, you're Indian, you're the son of immigrants too, and you sound very harsh and punitive with, again, and just sort of looking at the language. It's like, hey, I'm not going to endorse this, and let's just send it back from where they came from. It's funny, David, that line itself, I mean, when you hear it come out of my mouth, it's like, oh, I expect Fernando to say that. But when you hear that from a Democrat that, again, was sort of been endorsed by Governor Murphy, very progressive, and sort of like the progressive wing of the Democrat Party in New Jersey, it's like you hear someone say that, it's almost like, well, yeah, a lot of these mayors talk one thing, but then once it's in their backyard, they sing a different tune. And I think you're right. In 2 months, this will be, never mind 2 years. You're right. I think in 2 months or 2 days, this could be out of the news cycle. But it's interesting how this issue, I think, continues to be polarizing, and it can divide those people, David, especially this year in 2024, where I'm pretty certain immigration, border security is going to be probably at the top of the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it's the issues are going to be set by the candidates for the presidency, and everybody else is going to have to run on them. They're the ones who get to set the table, especially at a time where local media is failing like it is. There's limited ability for a local politician in this kind of a turnout year to set his or her own table. But I don't think this is going to be, you sort of look at the outcry, and if I were to really dig into it, I'd be wondering how many of these people that are upset live in Edison. And
that's right. Yeah. No.
How many, these are, we all live in these bubbles, and sometimes the bubbles explode and sometimes the bubbles intersect. But the only people that Mayor Joshi needs to be concerned about are the people who live in his town. If they're supportive of his statements, then we're all, we all have to look at who the voters are and whether people really care. And and I see it, even with Menendez. Look at who's Bob Menendez's biggest critic. It's John Fetterman from Pennsylvania, and Fetterman doesn't have to run in New Jersey, so he can say whatever he wants, and he is, by the way, and he's catching a lot of news, but making a lot of news. But he, he's again, I'm sure Bob Menendez will say to people, Fetterman, he's not from here. He should go back to Pennsylvania where he comes from. So it's all local. It's all local stuff.
David, speaking of local, you just mentioned about catching flack about, speaking about Senator Menendez. I'm sure maybe you've got some texts. I know I have. A lot of people seem to be like, hey, what's up with David Wildstein being so harsh on Bob and even Rob Menendez with the coverage of what's going on? And have you gotten any flack for that? I mean,
I sure have. Yeah.
If you don't mind sharing, what's been your response typically to people?
You have to. I'm at a point where I just, I call them like I see them, and I'm far beyond a point where I really worry about my own approval ratings. That's my job is not to prop somebody up, personally, I want to wait for the facts. I want to, have it's great that we live in a country where people have the presumption of innocence. That being said, you have to be human, and you can't help but be sort of offended by some of this brazen behavior. And I'm just, I think this, I'm just saying what I think people in New Jersey are saying, and and it's sad, right? I mean, we're now at a point where you have to put on your list of things that you teach the next generation of office holders. Hey, don't take bribes in gold bars, but if you do, at least have the brains, man, to file the serial number off of it so that it can't be traced back to Fred Davies or something. I mean, you sort of wonder when you're getting into allegations where you've got the briber or the alleged briber's DNA on the envelope containing cash inside a jacket inside a United States senator's closeted in his bedroom. How do you not look at it and say, where are we going? How do you not allow it to say I've got to be a little tough on it? Look, nothing would please me more. I don't take any pleasure out of this. I've known Menendez since we were young mayors together in the 1980s. He was a freshman assemblyman. I was the deputy clerk of the assembly. And I got to know him then. As a human being. Because like I said earlier, his freedom is at stake. As somebody who just believes, I know it's going to sound cheesy to somebody, especially the haters out there, but you want to believe in that democracy works. And if Bob Menendez didn't commit these crimes, and if Bob Menendez has been set up by overzealous prosecutors, if those are the facts, if that's the truth, then it should come out. And I hope it does. But that being said, doesn't look good for him. It really doesn't. And it doesn't please me to say it that way. But it is what it is.
I'm with you. And again, I'm all about the presumption of innocence. It's within our Bill of Rights. It's within, again, due process. And he's entitled to that, just like every other American is, regardless of party, whether your name has an R or a D next to it. Hey, the presumption of innocence should be there. It should continue there. I'm with you. I'm interested in seeing what the discovery will be once it goes to trial. Again, the prosecution presents its case, right, David? Defense presents theirs.
You got a jury that's going to look at it, and people who practiced punditry in 2015 and 16 and 17, they all had opinions about where Bob Menendez was going. People were, getting prepared to run for his seat and declare his guilt. And the jury didn't see it that way. We depend on that for better or for worse.
That's right.
We depend upon this system that we all profess to believe in it, right? We all say, whether we're, whether people are on the left or on the right or in the center or the far left or the far right, we all profess to believe in democracy. And for that reason, I hope that this is handled properly. But I can't help but think that I'm disappointed in Bob Menendez. And that it doesn't look good. It just doesn't. You have to be able to defend yourself with some some level of honor and truthfulness. And I say it to people. I have, as everybody knows, everybody who knows me, who follows me, because I don't presume to be a household name or anything. But I have not lived a perfect life myself. And I've made mistakes, and part of what I'm hoping is that people tell the truth and they accept responsibility for what they did, for better or for worse.
David, right before I let you go, speaking about taking responsibility, it seems like our friend Christopher is somehow, again, it boggles my mind whoever has that disposable income that is donating this campaign. Listen, give it to me so I can pay off my loans from grad school, please. But it seems like our good buddy, our good friend, Christopher Christie, is somehow still delusional, is somehow still raising money, feels that he's talking to audiences in New Hampshire and Iowa. I mean, David, nobody knows him better than you. Obviously, I know you worked with him in the past, worked for him, excuse me. You want to talk about being disappointed in somebody? Talk about lacking awareness. At what point does Chris Christie, someone ring the bell and say, Chris, what are you doing? You look saltier every single day that you're out there. You're not a good candidate. You left office one of the lowest approval ratings possibly ever as a governor in the state of New Jersey. You don't have a lot to offer in terms of what other candidates are doing. And we all know the story, David. I mean, again, you may know it better than I do, but again, if you're still salty about not being named Attorney General during the transition period in 2016 to 2017 because you happened to lock up, Donald Trump's daughter's father-in-law, I get it. Decisions have consequences, but can someone tell Chris, like, please bow out with some semblance of grace if you have any left?
Well, but you're making an assumption. You say, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to, attack you on your own show here.
No,
I apologize, but I strongly disagree with your premise that he's got some grace left. You're presuming he ever had any. What shocks me is that, he looks into the camera and he talks about how he's the only one telling the truth. And there is, I don't know that I certainly never went to high school with anybody who had a greater sense of a problem with the truth than Chris Christie. Give me a, we can name all these terrible people. I would rather, you give me a choice, Fernando. Tell me I have to spend, the rest of my life on a deserted island, and give me a few people. Christie, entertaining as he is, he's just, he's not a good person. And I think New Jersey came to realize that. And he can run all the ads he wants saying, that he is the truth teller. But, unfortunately, I think I know differently. And I question his capacity to tell the truth. So I think this is all ending for him fairly soon. Despite, this, short of a, can you still have a Christmas miracle on January 23rd? If he gets that extension, I don't see it. He's not going to win the New Hampshire primary. He's going to come in terribly. And I've made this prediction, and I don't predict a lot. You know that you and I have had a lot of conversations, and I reliably stop short of making a prediction because I don't want to be, perceived as dumb as Alan Steinberg or,
oh God,
or
David,
Mike Kelly or some of these other predictors.
Trust me, no matter how much eggnog or whiskey you're having in Florida, you will never ever be as dumb as Alan Steinberg. Trust me when I tell you that, David. Trust me.
I do, and so I don't like to make predictions, but I will make this one. And as somebody who has known Christie, we were never really that tight, but I did know him, when we were 15 years old. But everything I know about him, I don't think he can take another loss, another humiliating defeat by the voters. And this is a guy, it's never Christopher's fault, right? It's always somebody else's problem. I would not be surprised to see him drop out just before the primary, and maybe back somebody else. Maybe, grifter's got to grift, and maybe he'll find somebody else to, latch on to. But I think he will stop just short of taking the loss for himself. I think he is a guy who's going to wave his white flag in full surrender right before the votes, and then say, yeah, my name remained on the ballot, but I didn't lose because I withdrew. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe.
David, do you think his ceiling, basically, once he's done with this campaign or lack thereof, do you think his ceiling is just being, a consultant on MSNBC or CNN? I mean, I think where does he go from here once he has to bow out of this race eventually?
Well, I like to, he's been on ABC, and I like to think that, I think this is a good opportunity for all of us, regardless of what we believe in, to to pay tribute to CNN and MSNBC for having higher standards than to hire Christopher. But maybe he'll go work at the Star Ledger. They seem to hire people like that are irrelevant. And see, I'm just playing to you right now, right? I mean, that's all.
Sure, of course.
Right?
Yeah, no.
I'm just sucking up to Fernando Uribe, but it's real talk what I'm saying.
Yeah,
the guy, Chris Christie, is a grifter, and grifters are reliably going to grift, and that's what he does. That's who he is, and I think he's too good at grifting to walk away, and he's entertaining, and unfortunately, I wish I could call him stupid. He's not stupid.
No,
he's a smart guy, and he's an astute guy, and he knows what he's doing. And there's always going to be a place for somebody like that can offer great sound bites. And he's smooth. I'm not in his league like that. I'm not good at it like he is. He's really good at it. So there'll always be a place for him to grift. And he'll have his hands out, and he'll latch on to somebody, and he'll say things, and regardless of who he latches on to, I hope that they can see through him and say, well, he's gonna turn on me just like he's turned on everybody else in his life, and not trust him with anything important. But he'll make money, he'll do well, he'll do fine.
David, one of the things I learned last year, probably the last few years, ever since COVID, was making peace with people. And sometimes as we get older, we just learn to let go of grudges, or to make peace with people that either have done us wrong or we've done wrong too. Any chance you think in the future that you and Chris will eventually make peace as gentlemen? Because again, David, I'm not saying this to be facetious. I'm just, because I've learned it firsthand. Like, hey, I have not gotten along with some people. I've sort of extended the olive branch to say, listen, let's just make peace, whether it's the holidays or just like, again, David, and the reason I say not to be overly sentimental is just ever since COVID, like I lost a lot of classmates, a lot of friends of mine, whether it was mental health, COVID itself. And I just learned like, hey, I saw some outstanding heat with people. I just said, listen, let me make peace with them. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, but I'll feel better making peace. It's worked out for me. Whoever I've had some grudges and heat with, it worked out. We've made peace. We've been very amicable since then. Is there a possibility anywhere in the future, David, do you think that you and Chris could make a peace somehow?
I don't know. Is he going to come on the show with? Is he going to come on your show with me, and he's going to start and say, David, I'm sorry, I lied. I knew, I absolutely knew, and I made you the fall guy in this, then you never say never, but he's not going to do it. And look, I really believe in hitting reset buttons with people, and it's not too late. And Kevin O'Toole, who writes a really great column for the New Jersey Globe every week, he wrote one last year where he said, it's just not healthy. You got to give up. You can't have you can't keep all those grievances. And I'm doing this, like I said, 50 years. So I got a lot of grievances. And there's a lot of people that have grievances with me. And by the way, some of them are right, some of them are fair, and there's a lot of people out there that are right to not like me too. You can hit a reset button, and there's a lot of times, but with Chris Christie, I don't think so, because I think part of it too is you want to live the kind of life where you don't have toxic people around you, and I would challenge you. You're a very smart guy. Can you name anybody more toxic than Chris Christie?
I know a few journalists that are pretty toxic in New Jersey, but you're right on that one. I think Chris is really up there in the top 2 or 3, I think, in New Jersey politics, Dave. I think you're right on that. Dave, before I let you go, obviously you're the best in the business. The New Jersey Globe continues to break news, produce outstanding journalism. Any new projects or anything new that the New Jersey Globe is trying out for 2024?
Well, we're still early in the year. I'm still, I'm still trying to play catch up and make sure that I'm still doing the job that we're supposed to do. We're still hiring one reporter, and once that happens, we might try some new things. But we're still down.
David, I got to tell you again, I call myself New Jersey's premier journalist, but the best journalist in New Jersey, folks, is my guest tonight, David Wildstein, the editor of the New Jersey Globe. David, keep up the great work. And again, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I'm not saying this to be sappy or whatever. David, I appreciate the time you take to come on this program. I get a lot of heat sometimes from my colleagues in the establishment media, legacy media, that lean very left, that don't like me, that don't like my brand of what they don't think is journalism to begin with. And I am so grateful to you that you respect me and my brand to come on this show, to have conversations, to do breakdowns. I could not be more grateful for our friendship and our rapport. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I mean, I'm grateful to you, David.
Thank you. And look, this is a great business. New Jersey is a great state to watch politics, and there's it's important that there be divergent views, and people, they shouldn't try and cancel you just because they don't agree with you. And I think it's important to show people that everybody's got a right to be heard. And look, you've got a tremendous audience, and you've got a lot of people who, you're a, what's the word? I'm drawing a blank on it, where you have influence, and people listen to you, and you're, you go out of your way. I mean, you and I talk, and one of the things I respect about you, Fernando, is sometimes I'll say to you, I don't agree with you, and you don't ever dismiss my opinions, and sometimes you will, I find you to be a fair guy. I find you to be hugely opinionated, but that's your job, right? You don't.
Yeah, that's right. It's journalism.
You don't shy away from it, and that's really good. And we've got to stop not allowing people with different opinions to be heard. And I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't respect smart people who reach a different audience than what the that so-called legacy media reaches. And you do a great job reaching out to new people. I think Rosemary Becky has built a model here that I find fascinating and interesting and modern, and following where people will get their news from. People aren't getting their news from a newspaper that costs $1,200 a year. And again, I mean, I know we're over time, and you and I always go over time, and I apologize. But
no problem. I love having you on. Yeah.
But I sort of look at these failed business models. Star Ledger, which last Saturday was their last Saturday newspaper. They're in business since 1832. They're no longer printing on Saturdays. I called the Star Ledger, by the way. I spoke to a very nice guy in their circulation department, and I said, "Well, how much are you cutting the cost of a subscription, since you're printing 14% less newspapers a year?" And he said, "Well, our prices are going to remain the same." And I asked him what it costs, and God, you're almost shocked to believe that the Star Ledger costs over $1,200 a year to buy, if you want to actually buy a newspaper. So the very people that they say they are protecting, the economically underprivileged, the poor, the downtrodden, the people that they want to represent, they can't even afford to buy their newspaper.
Yeah.
And it's just, so I'd like to see, by the way, Star Ledger, don't get out. I don't know if you play the violin or a musical instrument, but people ought not get out their violin and feel sorry for the poor Star Ledger that is struggling financially. Advanced Publications, that owns them, the Newhouse family, they are the 48th largest privately held corporation in the United States. These are billionaires. It's not that they can't afford to make the Star Ledger better. It's that they choose not to. And they're not pumping money into that product. And I'd feel almost better about them if, and I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant, and I didn't mean to, but you agree with me, so you're allowing it. So yeah.
David, you hit it on the head. I think that
it's crazy. It's crazy that poor people can't, they can't afford to buy the newspapers to learn about news. Why is urban voter turnout so depressed in places not in Union City? It's because there is a news desert going on, and people can't afford to buy the newspapers to know there's an election day. And where's Tom Moran talking about that?
No, he's too busy virtue signaling. David, when you asked the circulation person about the print cost, you say over $1,200 for the year. Is that the same for digitals also?
No. Digital is about $250 a year. But it's still expensive, and you got to wonder where are people getting their local news from if they can't afford these newspapers. I remember, you'll remember too, it was not that long ago, it was June of 2023, and the Speaker of the State Assembly, Craig Coughlin, proposed the Stay NJ plan to reduce property taxes for seniors. And whether you agree with him or not, Tom Moran decides that he is against Stay NJ. And he put all of the resources of his editorial board and his newspapers, he broadcast that we're going to kill this bill. He didn't move a single vote. And one of the reasons he couldn't affect public opinion is his column saying, and these are his words, not mine, Craig Coughlin is screwing low-income New Jerseyans. He put it behind a paywall. So unless you were wealthy enough to subscribe to the Star Ledger, you can't afford to hear Tom Moran tell you that somebody's screwing you.
David, again, if that's not the textbook definition of tone deaf,
yeah,
I don't know what is, but it's Tommy, and Tommy Boy is the champion of tone deafness, I think, in New Jersey media.
I agree.
Without a doubt.
Look, the Ledger, and I said it in the year in review, they're a privately held business. And if you believe in capitalism, you believe that they get to do, what they want with their own money. But if you are, Fernando, I don't know what your personal situation is, and I don't mean to pry, but if you are in the market for a new vacuum cleaner, the Star Ledger might be able to make your life a little bit easier. Because they've done some research and they found some good deals for you, and they can help you do that. I don't know about you. I guess you and I are probably in the same boat. We are Jersey guys, even though I don't live there right now. I will always be a Jersey guy. I don't need the Star Ledger to tell me where to get a good slice of good pizza. I know where to get good pizza in New Jersey.
David, the funny thing is that
vacuum cleaners, maybe we need it. Maybe they're doing a good community service there.
Maybe, but David, it's funny because I keep getting emails from NJ.com every week saying, hey, for as low as $1, you can rely on journalism that's looking out for you. And David, I laugh every week when I see that, because the first thing that comes to my mind is, invest $1 in NJ.com/a Star Ledger because we're supposed to trust Tom Moran and the Star Ledger editorial board. David, I trust.
By the way, it's not $1, Fernando.
Oh, okay.
It's $1 to for your first period, and then they begin charging your credit card $25 a month.
Well,
so it's not really $1, and there's nothing altruistic about it. And I'll tell you this, I get those same emails every day too. None of them are saying come to the Star Ledger so that you can hear what Tom Moran has to say.
David, I trust the Philadelphia Eagles defense before I'll trust giving $1 to NJ.com. I think that's a fair analogy there. I don't know if you'll agree with it, but that's how
By the way, I do. I subscribe to all of these newspapers.
Sure.
Everyone in the state, that even those that I've sat Shiva for, I still give them my money because I'm trying to support them. By the way, I think being their customer, they may disagree, but I think my being their customer gives me the ability to criticize them because I'm talking about a product that I'm willing to pay for that they're delivering.
David, you have a bless your heart, brother, giving that money away to NJ.com. God bless you, bro. But David, keep up the great work. Folks, go to NewJerseyGlobe.com, the best in the business. And being a pro wrestling fan, I'll sort of use an acronym to sort of describe my guest tonight. To quote the Hall of Famer, Bret the Hitman Hart, David Wildstein, he's the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. That's David Wildstein, folks, the editor of the New Jersey Globe. Little pro wrestling homage there to David Wildstein tonight. David, God bless you. Happy New Year.
Thank you. You too.
And I'll talk to you soon here on Real Talk First TV.
Sounds good. Bye.
Take care. Folks, excellent program there. We're in a little overtime here on the East Coast, 8:15 here on the East Coast, folks. You don't want to go anywhere because it's time for final thoughts. And ladies and gentlemen, it's been in the news cycle, but before we get to sort of what I really want to get to, I want to pay homage here to 4 outstanding ladies that I have the privilege of working with at Jersey First TV. Now, if you subscribe to Save Jersey via SaveJersey.com, shout out to its editor-in-chief, Matt Rooney. No, not doing too well there as his Eagles are kind of floundering, thankfully. But one thing that never flounders is Save Jersey. And certainly today, via Erica Jeniak, the COO, obviously for everything going well here, obviously with Save Jersey, obviously working for Americans for Prosperity. Every year, Save Jersey comes out with the 2024 Right Women to Watch list. And a lot of impressive women on here. Alex Wilkes, of course, an amazing political consultant. Obviously, Alexis Bailey and others. But I want to give homage to 4 of my favorite ladies. And coincidentally, they're with Jersey First TV. I want to talk about Ashley Smith, again, number 6 here on the list. Ashley Smith was promoted to the managing director of Jersey First last year. And for those of you, obviously, that don't know, and I can't believe you wouldn't, but Jersey First TV and Jersey First is a grassroots organization fighting for lower taxes in a freer state, where she grew the internship program to a successful pipeline of more than 35 emerging free market leaders in each of the past 2 summers. Folks, I've had the privilege of meeting a lot of the interns at Jersey First, and they are hardworking boys and girls in college, working hard and trying to make a difference and make New Jersey more affordable and raising awareness about the issues that matter to everyday New Jerseyans. You can thank Ashley Smith, again, the managing director of Jersey First, and also, of course, the outstanding internship program that she oversees there with Jersey First. Obviously, other great women, folks. Again, I would urge you to check out the 2024 Right Women to Watch list via Save Jersey, but other ones, of course, at number 10, Elizabeth Nader. Now, she wears many hats as the Jersey First board member. She's the host of the Nader Narrative, which, by the way, again, you can check out every Thursday via jerseyfirst.org/TV, of course, on all of our social media platforms and also on the Jersey First YouTube page. She's also the chairwoman of the Common Sense PAC and co-founder of First Aid PR, certainly working very hard with great broadcasters and opinion makers like Bill Spadia, a possible 2025 gubernatorial candidate. Elizabeth wears many hats, but one of the best ones she wears is being an amazing host, again, of the Nader Narrative every Thursday with Jersey First as well. And folks, at number 20, Marcella Barazueta Crossman. She's the chairwoman of the Jersey Force Executive Board and certainly an accomplished financial executive. And most importantly, and one dynamic about her that I applaud and I'm so in awe of her, and I wholeheartedly respect, a decorated veteran of the United States Marine Corps. So I salute you, Marcella, for your service and everything you're doing as a strong woman representing Jersey First, again, there on the 2024 Right Women to Watch list. And last but not least, again, folks, you can check out the whole list. It's absolutely amazing there. But last but not least, my boss, the best boss I've ever had in New Jersey statewide media, and that's Rosemary Becky, the president and CEO of Jersey First. And again, I can tell you as a tax attorney and someone who's worked as a staffer on Capitol Hill, folks, I could not be more privileged to work with Rosemary Becky, a woman who took a chance on me. Well, let's be honest, she didn't have to. In December of 2021, and someone who, let's be honest, is very gifted, very patient, and someone who is, again, I can't say enough, and I'm sure she's going to get mad at me for blowing her up on the show here today, but a woman who is extremely compassionate, hardworking, and someone who, again, I'm so thankful for her belief in my abilities, for letting me be creative on here every single week on Jersey First, since I've been doing so since January of 2022, as we enter our third year on Jersey First TV. I couldn't be more grateful to work with and for Rosemary Becky, who, again, I had the privilege of seeing her once again at the Jersey First holiday party. Great featured speaker, Mary Catherine Ham. Got to interact with her, see my boss, have a few drinks, enjoy the holiday spirit with her and all the great people at Jersey First TV. Again, these four amazing ladies, again, part of the right women to watch in 2024 in New Jersey politics. Once again, a shout out to Elizabeth Nader, to Marcella Crossman, to Ashley Smith, and to Rosemary Becky, four amazing women, once again, in New Jersey politics, and four women that I am privileged to know, and four women that are actually doing good things in New Jersey politics. Of course, folks, when there's great women in New Jersey politics, yep, there's also very toxic women in New Jersey politics. And of course, behind me, as you can see there, folks, what I like to call the worthless six in New Jersey politics. And folks, can you find six more worthless women than those behind me? And I'm going to sort of go at it because it's sort of relevant to what's been in the headlines, folks, right? Again, shout out to Save Jersey, News 12, and other media outlets talking about illegals arriving in buses nearby in Secaucus, New Jersey. Obviously, we saw what happened in Edison today, right? We're seeing buses arriving from Texas, southern border states, right? Because God forbid the president of the United States, who's useless, who's, just an incompetent mummy in Joe Biden. And of course, even worse, his incompetent vice president, the cackling hyena at all hours, Kamala, whatever her name is, Harris, right? When you see the border crisis, you can thank them. But what you can also thank are the worthless six behind me. Because when we're reading about stories, right, where, for example, the Secaucus Police Department and town officials receive word from the Hudson County Executive's offices that several buses transporting, and it's funny about, calling them migrants, they're illegals, they're invaders, en route for New York, had arrived at the train station at the Secaucus Junction, formerly known as, obviously, the Frank Lumberg Station. Now, as of the writing over the weekend, we believe it was a total of four buses. Now, the first bus arrived the morning of December 30th, and from what we understand, again, as reported by Save Jersey, after being dropped at the train station, the migrants, the illegals, then took trains to New York City. And of course, the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, another useless, Democrat in New York, recently signed an executive order regulating how and when buses carrying migrants can enter the city and drop off passengers. Of course, these regulations in part require bus operators to advise the commissioner of emergency management at least 32 hours in advance before arriving, and limiting drop-off to weekdays only between the hours of 8:30 a.m. And I believe 10:30 a.m. All right. And of course, the mayor, who again was proud to call New York City a sanctuary city, said, quote, "One of the largest and wealthiest cities is at its breaking point." Imagine how small border towns have been feeling for all these years. Again, the tone deafness, courtesy of Eric Adams. And we've seen it. We saw what Sam Joshi, the mayor of Edison, had to say today. He's caught some flack, but he's right. He's absolutely right about everything he said, but not wanting to pass off this problem to another mayor, right? And if it's not possible that the federal government or the Secretary of Homeland Security, right, Mayorkas, another useless bureaucrat in Washington, if you could ever get your act together, and maybe secure the border. It's written into the Constitution. If you guys ever read it, right? Sovereignty is a part of the federal government's job. But don't tell that to the worthless six, because you can tell they never read the Constitution or never took a civics class to save their lives. But that's what we're seeing, folks. The chickens are coming home to roost. The bill's coming due. You ignore border security. You let every illegal possible sneak across the border, and all these invaders, what are they going to do? They're going to ruin our towns. They're going to overflood our schools. They're going to milk our social services, all in the name of compassion, which, again, the worthless six excel at, because they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. Okay? Do you think any of these women were in Secaucus this weekend, maybe serving a hot bowl of soup to any of the invaders and illegals that arrived in Secaucus? Of course not. That would require the worthless six to have what's called, wait for it, ladies, because I know it's a big word for you, integrity. 4 syllables. I know it's big. I know it's tough for some of you. Integrity, right? Because while you can opine from your soapbox in your comfortable little home, yes, when it comes to really dealing with the issues, you want no part of it. You just think money grows on trees, and then no one's illegal, right? And that you've never read the Constitution or understand what sovereignty is. But yes, we are at a breaking point now. Okay? We either, as Mayor Joshi said today, either the federal government does its job or we send these people back where they came from. Nothing wrong with saying that. Now, again, the worthless six will tell you otherwise, right? But again, that's the state of affairs right now that we have, not just in New Jersey, but in this country, because we enable illegal immigrants, illegals, not undocumented workers, not undocumented immigrants, okay, not migrants, illegals. But let's look at some of the worthless six and what they stand for. Let's talk about Amy Torres, right? Lower left-hand corner there with the microphone, right? Very nice of Amy Torres to take a break from feeding her 5 cats to go on Twitter on behalf of the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice to talk about what's asylum and what's wrong with mayors like Sam Joshi speaking out against illegals invading like they are, right? Someone like Amy Torres, this is hysterical. This is part real estate right here. Check out this clown. Amy Torres, they, them, or she, her. What's they, them, Amy? Like, did I miss something? Like, was I asleep? Because I take naps every day. But like, did I fall asleep? Did I miss something? Like, what year is this? Like, have you found a way to clone yourself? Like Agent Smith in the Matrix, right? Where there's more of you, God forbid. I mean, imagine having to look at multiple Amy Torreses. A cat lady with no man in sight, okay, who, let's be honest, is going to be single for the rest of her life, because who wants to come home to that? Who wants to come home to Amy Torres, a woman, right, in her mid to late 30s, if not early 40s, who has to put her Twitter on private because, what Elon Musk is enabling is too troubling for her. It's affecting her mental health. Like, really? Could you imagine having to come home to this woman? Like, this is the definition, folks, of a cat lady, and a woman's going to be perpetually single for the rest of her life. Who wants to deal with this nag? That is Amy Torres, right? You think Amy Torres was in Secaucus today or yesterday wanting to provide blankets to feed migrants soup or give them food? Of course not. That will require Amy Torres to leave her house, right? To get off of her computer or her smartphone and actually do some real work. That's a lot to ask of Amy Torres. They, them. Could you imagine multiple? There's no they, them. Para de comer mermelada. Okay? There's no they, them. You're a singular person. You're not plural, you clown. Okay? Like the rest of you pronoun patrol idiots that talk about pronouns. You're one person, Amy. Thank the Lord. Imagine if there were multiple Amy Torreses. Jesus, cat ladies everywhere. I mean, I can smell the stink of cat piss up here in Hudson County, right? But these are the people that will lecture you about, asylum. And we have to be compassionate. Amy, you want to be compassionate? Take your sorry ass to Secaucus, okay? Go feed some illegal soup. bring them blankets, because it seems like you're living pretty well, right? I mean, how is the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice funded again? Yeah, I don't think you're eating ramen noodles or eating cereal every night. So I think you're living pretty well, sweetheart. Hey, why don't you give some of that money away and go buy those illegals in Secaucus there some soup, some blankets, some clothes, I don't know, some cold cuts, whatever. Yeah. Oh, that's right. It would take you having to do work, Amy. We all know you can't. Let's get on to the rest of the worthless six over here. Obviously, we know that the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice. Oh, let's get to Latina Civic. Yes. Let's look at these. Yeah. A couple of campesinas here. Cristina Pinzon, the mathematician whiz that so eloquently described by David Wildstein there. Christina, I don't know. Were you asleep the day that they taught math? Really? Folks, I wouldn't hire Christina to run a hot dog stand. Somehow people trust this campesina to either run elections, run campaigns, or run a PAC. All right. Speaking of another campesina, look at Patty Campos Medina, right? Another insufferable feminist who, yes, sits at home with her worthless husband, Bob Medina, obviously, right? And wants to lecture you about asylum, wants to lecture you about, oh, we're a welcoming nation. No human is illegal. Folks, what makes these two campesinas insufferable is, again, you can tell they never read the United States Constitution. They don't understand what sovereignty is, but they, along with the rest of the board members at Latina Civic Action, whatever, whether it's Flora Castillo, that photogenic piece of work right there. Who else? Millie Camacho, the secretary. Who else we got here, folks? Naomi Velasquez, Sonia Delgado, Lizette Delgado Polanco, Laura Matos, Grisel Camacho. Folks, have you ever heard of a more useless group of women, other than probably going to Sunday Funday in Hoboken and trying to milk men for drinks? These are the women that are going to lecture you about, oh, no human is illegal, and that we should be providing for everybody. Now, just like Amy, all the aforementioned, again, Flora Castillo, Cristina Pinzon, Patty Cash Medina. Yeah, these are women comfortably in their home, right? Having a little hot chocolate on their smartphones, talking about how no human is illegal and how we should be doing more. No, you three should take your sorry asses too and join Amy Torres in Secaucus and feed these illegals soup, give them blankets, and give them everything else. You seem to live in pretty large, ladies, right? Some of you run PACs. Some of you get government grants. You're living pretty comfortable. I don't think any of you are eating cereal or eating ramen noodles on a nightly basis. So again, put your money where your mouth is and go to Secaucus or go to New York City, right across the river, and go help these illegals, because you're so about empowering illegals and coddling illegals, because that's what Latina Civic does. Okay? That's what Latina Civic Act does consistently. Just like the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice, they're enablers. They're enablers of illegals every single day. And someone has to call them out on it. Because you think David Cruz is going to do it? Of course not. David Cruz is too busy wondering, oh, coño, what's for lunch today in the food court? Right? Because he'll continue inviting these worthless propagandists like Amy Torres, Patty Medina, and whoever else to Reporters Roundtable or chat box, right? To talk about illegal migration, right? Or to talk about the burden that illegals are, not just in New York City, but in New Jersey as well. Okay? Folks, and again, it almost makes me wonder, David, hágame un favor, tenga un poquito de integridad cuando tú hablas de estas cosas, ¿ok? Because cuando tú le das atención a esta gente, a estas mujeres que no sirven para nada, te lo digo en serio, ninguna mujer aquí sirve para nada. No sirven para nada. Todo lo que hacen es la propaganda para todos los izquierdistas para decir la misma basura de todo lo que todo que es de izquierda. Ellos son campeones para eso. All right? Now, again, folks, get Uncle Dave a Google Translate so you can understand what I just said, because we all know he can't speak a lick of Spanish. But basically, for everybody at home, these worthless women are the same ones enabling illegal immigration with their nonprofits and their advocacy work. It's a joke. Because if you were really about it, your sorry asses would be in New York City or you'd be in Secaucus doing something about coddling illegals because you love to coddle them, right? Speak about more worthless women here, right? Let's look at Dina Matola-Jaworska, okay? From New Jersey Citizen Action, another useless left-wing organization, another woman, another photogenic one there, of course, that loves to enable illegals and coddle them, and of course go with the premise of, oh, no, human's illegal. No, ladies, understand something. And again, I'm going to spin this in a way that you can understand, and I'll say it slowly so I don't lose you. My dad's Colombian. If I decide to visit Colombia tomorrow, which I have recently, and I decide to stay there illegally, do you think I'm entitled to free healthcare? Like Gavin Newsom is trying to give, well, not trying, he's giving them in the state of California. You think I'm entitled to, I don't know, maybe go vote at some point? Or if I wanted to go to school in Colombia, do you think I'm allowed to do that if I'm in Colombia legally? Well, maybe with the joke of a President Petro over there, Petro, que ese tampoco, ese imbécil no sirve para nada. But do you think that's legal in Colombia? Of course not, because they don't enable that, as other countries in Latin America don't enable it either. Somehow, these worthless 6 women think that we should be doing that in New Jersey. And again, Dina Matola-Jaworska is yet another one. Speaking of useless, let's look at Sarah Kalani from Make the Road, New Jersey. Last but not least, right? And she's a special type of one of those white liberals that is annoying, right? That love to lecture you about what's humanity and what's compassionate. You think Sarah's leaving her warm house to go to Secaucus? You think Dina is? Of course not. Folks, these women exemplify hypocrisy. They're not remotely interested in going to Secaucus or even New York City to do any of the work necessary. You care about illegals as much as you do? Put your money where your mouth is. Go across the river, freeze your asses, okay? And do something for illegals. Doing it from your smartphone doesn't prove anything, especially to someone like me. So, ladies, get your act together in 2024. Stop embarrassing yourselves. You've been doing it long enough. And again, folks, are there 6 more worthless women in New Jersey politics than these 6? I think it's impossible to do that. Well, maybe, I remain hopeful. Maybe somebody can replace them in terms of being as inept as they are, but it doesn't look like any of them are going to be doing that anytime soon. So shout out to Sarah Kalani, right? Dina Jaworska. Obviously, the resident virtue singer, Amy Torres, Patty Medina, Cristina Pinzon, Flora Castillo. I think that was her name. I don't really care at this point. But folks, the worthless 6 will continue to enable these policies because unfortunately, that's what makes them dangerous. It's not just that they're inept and that they have no clue what they're talking about. Folks, what makes them dangerous, I mean, they're worthless, but what makes them dangerous is that people in Trenton listen to them. And that's what we have to worry about. Not just in 2024, but every year thereafter, because they keep getting the ears of certain people. Now, again, I wouldn't trust any of these campesinas or virtue signalers to run a hot dog stand or to run a local Target. But somehow they're running campaigns, they're running PACs, they're running nonprofits, and somehow they're getting into the ears of left-wingers and progressives in Trenton. And sooner or later, folks, they'll sink New Jersey, just like progressive policies are sinking the United States. So, again, folks, while they're worthless, they're pretty dangerous. You have to keep an eye on them. And I certainly will here on Real Talk every week via Jersey First TV. Folks, before I call it a night, once again, I want to thank you for all the great traffic in 2023. Over 204,000 organic views here on Real Talk via Jersey First TV. Folks, I can't say enough how thankful I am to all of you that tune in every week. And I've been doing so since January of 2022. Folks, without you, my loyal viewing audience, this traffic, these numbers would not be possible. And I'm not the most humble guy in the world, as you know, but I'm deeply humbled by your support. I hope to continue getting it in 2024. And that's our show for this week, folks. Once again, I want to thank the distinguished editor of the New Jersey Globe, David Wildstein, for coming on tonight. Obviously, a great conversation, a lot to break down in New Jersey politics as it is an election year, and always a lot to talk about in Garden State media as well. I always thank Mr. Wildstein for his support of the show and the kind words he bestows on me every time he comes on this program. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, always check us out on all our social media platforms. Once again, make sure you like us on Facebook. Do not forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And certainly make sure you subscribe to Jersey First on YouTube, as well as subscribe wherever you get your podcast, whether it's Spotify or SoundCloud, and download Jersey First and take it with you anywhere at any time. And folks, I cannot say it enough, right? How proud I am to be on the dream team of Garden State Media. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it's always Jersey First TV, educating and advocating for the people of New Jersey. New episodes come out every single week, every Thursday. Brand new episodes of The Nader Narrative, hosted by the incredible Elizabeth Nader, premiere on Thursdays, as well as brand new episodes of Bridging the Gap with AJ Malillo and Stephen Rumbolo on Thursdays. And of course, folks, we'll resume in our regularly scheduled slot on Monday nights next week, 7 o'clock Eastern time. I'll welcome the New Jersey Cannabis Association President, Edmund DeVoe, for an exceptional conversation about cannabis and what's going on in advancements in the cannabis industry here in the state of New Jersey. Folks, I can't say enough. Hey, thank you for supporting Jersey First TV. We'll keep working hard for all of you in 2024. And always remember, ladies and gentlemen, if it's unbiased, unfiltered, and unafraid, it's real talk right here with Jersey First TV. I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, top Latino for 3 years consecutively, as voted on by Latino Spirit Online magazine, and certainly the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media, because my level of honesty is necessary in this era of deception. And yes, it's me, folks, doing all that. It's Fernando Uribe saying so long, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of your week. By the way, shout out to my Dallas Cowboys, hopefully winning the NFC East this Sunday as the Philadelphia Eagles collapse, right? Oh, it's like drinking a warm glass of milk on a snowy evening when you see the dirtbags of the NFL, the Philadelphia Eagles, take L's. Oh, I just love it. And you know what? For Alan Steinberg and all you other insufferable, useless Eagles fans, let me sing a song here to start the new year. Fly, Eagles, fly. Without a victory, hit 'em high, hit 'em low, and watch the Eagles blow. EAGLES, losers. That's right, folks. Let's go, Cowboys. Let's win the NFC East. It's Sunday. And head into the NFL playoffs on a high note. Representing Cowboy Nation all day, every day. Folks, it's me, Fernando Uribe, saying so long. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next Monday night at 7:05 here. Latest edition of Real Talk via Jersey First TV. And thanks for stopping by.